Woohoo!
Here we are.
Hello.
Share it around.
What about the song stuff?
Is that one? Like. That's it. Ta-da!
Oh, okay.
I don't see the link.
I see the live, but if I press on it, it's gonna go live.
Live? Like twice live? How you do twice live?
What's the difference between live and live?
Kate
It's
is here.
more intense.
How do I share this thing?
I don't find it. Why? Now. Whoa!
How do I share it?
Like, we can do that once a month. We forget the things.
Yes.
We're old people, guys.
I seriously don't see a share button.
Why not?
Well,
I share it. It's done.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
People are already here. Love it.
It's awesome. Well, we have 2 people.
No, it's six people here.
Oh, 7, but I don't see the names. I only see 2 names. Why?
Because I guess we're not friends with everybody.
Oh, why? Let's be friends.
Maybe somebody wants to stay anonymous, you know?
Oh,
that's fair.
Come on, show up.
Sure.
Show up. What's your name?
Come on. Oh, wait. We did the flags thing. Not flags. Countries.
Who's here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I can't. Oh.
It's.
Yeah. We will start soon. Just give it a couple of minutes for people to find the link.
Yeah,
I can feel music. Like, no, maybe not. I will stay here. I'll not move.
Hello.
It's me.
It's me, Mario.
Usuario que comparte, vale. Muy bien.
Oh. Okay. So. Hey!
Oh,
hey!
The party guy. Oh, and we didn't have him in the center.
Yes.
Finally.
I gotta find this thing on Facebook, otherwise I can't post things in the chat.
Come on. What's the tea?
The tea.
Iced tea.
What's the tea today?
You have iced tea in a teacup?
But it's
okay, because I mean
campaign
is normally like in the glass.
No, it's like it's sweating too, like me. Like you can see that. But yeah. I don't remember which kind of tea, but it's tea. But it's fresh. Oh!
It was.
It was not, still is. Like, maybe in 5 minutes will be hot, but for now it's fresh.
Nice.
I got 9 people. Should you
Hey!
start? Who wants to
Find.
start?
Okay.
Okay, we start.
Should we start? It's 7 minutes past. I know it was my mistake that we were late.
Hey! We hate technology sometimes.
Yes.
Just sometimes.
Good.
Just
sometimes. We start again?
I want it. What video? What video?
Has imaginary flies now.
No, it was a fly. Like, really. Then we still have Andrew figuring out how to share this thing.
Yes.
Oh, no,
Well,
we're
we
good.
can.
We can sing for you. You need
We're
help?
good. No, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, because I can't, like, the chat for some reason in this window right now doesn't, like, I can't do it here, so I have to do it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I think I'm the only one who can.
We show you
host
like
here.
it's the real thing.
The host.
Thank you.
I think it's more how you call more in time the phone, and this is like a little bit later.
Yes.
Oh,
Correct.
weird. Okay.
Yeah,
But
just because I was taking the phone.
yeah, you guys can write to me and I can post it if you want. I mean, we have a host chat also.
Ugh.
Okay. So, Iselin, do you have the list of resources? 'Cause as we talk about them, it'd be good to post them in.
Yes, I will get
Whoa.
them up here.
Mm,
Give me 1 second. Okay. Yes, I got it. So I can copy paste to the chat when we talk about it.
sweet. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, so the topic today is
Again, no, I did it.
women in tap.
Do it again.
Not so loud, right?
Mm. Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna what are we gonna do? We're gonna run down some resources that we found.
Mhm.
Share them as like jump off points for anybody who's interested. This is not a concise list at all, but it's stuff that would be good to have on your radar. And then we're gonna chat as we normally do, right?
Because
That's
we
the plan?
chat.
Yes,
That's-
and as always, please comment, please ask questions, please engage. We bring all the questions up and talk about it, and no questions are bad or good or whatever. Everything is nice. All is good. Done, mate, done.
I've never heard nice as like the third way. Like that. Good. This is nice. It's nice. I like that.
Nice. Yeah. We get okay. Sorry.
So yeah,
That's great. All right. So we're gonna start with references. Yes.
yes.
You go.
All right.
I know Iselin go.
Huh? I go.
Okay.
Andrew go.
Andrew
go.
go. And you
I go.
post it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
work on the posting.
Okay.
All right. So
Go.
the first
Holidays.
thing is, I guess the first thing to know is that tap dance and kind of the way that it functions and the history that we have is really based on what other people have felt are important things to document, right? And so if a societal norm is that like this thing's more important than that thing, then we know about that thing, or we know about this thing and not that thing, right? So just as we go through this, keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that things weren't happening, and it doesn't mean that people weren't dancing, and it doesn't mean that like it just means that the social structure deemed some things more important than others. Okay, so I say that to say there were phenomenal dancers who, as a course of their career, found themselves in chorus lines and never in a solo act or a duo act or a trio act. And so when we dive into the topic of women in tap dancing, a lot of information is there. You're not going to find it as much in kind of the solo act space. That's a high generalization, and is probably not. Well, most generalizations are false. So we'll just run down the references. A couple films that are really, really good to get a line on are Plenty of Good Women Dancers. This is available online. The link we'll put it in the chat. You can watch, I think, the whole film. Jermaine Ingram, who was LaVon Robinson's dance partner, was a very big kind of momentum builder for this project, and it focuses on party.
For some reason, I can't post the link.
Aw.
Why not?
That's no, that was very strange. Maybe it's like some kind of.
I can try.
Hold on, let me. How do I do
No.
this?
I can try. If you can go.
I'll try one more time. Hold on. Maybe it's the way I copied it. Let's see if it comes in the chat now. Mm-hmm. Sent. No,
No,
doesn't pop up, right?
me. I send it.
You
Oh,
did?
is that? Okay, great. There it
There
is.
we are.
Great.
Yeah. I think I sent the the good one.
Which is
Sorry.
that?
Huh?
Which link is that?
Exactly. That's
Link? The one I have here.
no, that's not the link.
Compartir. ¿Cómo que no?
No. Oh,
No.
Which
I don't
link?
I'll
think that's the
post it.
one.
Yes. Okay.
What is
So-
here?
We are talking about the film of
Plenty of good women dancers.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So there we are.
Boom. There it is.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
Yeah,
don't know
that's
where you-
okay.
I don't know what that YouTube link is, Estefanía.
I think it's. She sent me earlier.
No.
There we are.
Wait.
Okay.
It's correct. Somebody saying it's correct.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Hey!
Then the two links.
It wasn't the one that I found, so I don't know.
I found it in YouTube too.
Oh, cool. Great. So
Okay.
you can find that multiple different places. The next one is a biopic on Jenny Lagann. So Jenny Lagann is very well known as Bill Robinson's only dance partner on film, and this is a film about her journey. And then the last one, and I actually wasn't able to find a link to it online, so there's some digging to be done there. See if it's available on DVD or VHS, and you might have to call a friend to get a hold of that one. And the last film for our list today is Been Rich All My Life. It's a documentary on the Silver Bells. The Silver Bells were a group of former chorus line dancers who got back together. There's a really good Wikipedia article on them. It's fairly concise. They got back together and kind of came out of retirement and started touring in and around New York, if not New York City. They were based in New York City and started touring around that area. So this is a film about their group. Members include Marion Coles, Elaine Ellis, Cleo Hayes, Faye Ray, and Bertie Lou Wood. For the Europeans who are on the call, you guys might know Kurt and Klaus. They're a duo in Germany who were mentored by Carnell Lyons. They do tap and tray, like spin trays and tap dance. They were also very good friends with Faye Ray and have done a lot of a lot of interesting research around her life. So call them up, ask them questions. They are amazing in their kind of depth and specificity when it comes to researching stuff. So they're a good resource to have. All right, let's go through some names. So, get your pens out. We're gonna write these down. They'll come in the chat too, but it's always good to document them out. All right. So names that we probably have known or come across or just from Hollywood: Ginger Rogers, Ann Miller, Eleanor Powell, Peggy Ryan. Peggy Ryan might not be that known, but she was Donald O'Connor's dance partner for a while. And then we get a little deeper. You start hearing about Mabel Lee, Jenny Lagann, Lois Bright of the Miller Brothers and Lois. Juanita Pitts is someone that Diane Walker talks a lot about. She's well known for being the person that we look at as like a dancer from an older era that wore like a business suit and flats. So the idea of dancing in heels and kind of only in chorus line garb, or the kind of the quintessential leotard and tights and high heels and that kind of thing. Juanita Pitts was not doing that. Other names: Cora Red with 2 Ds, Ludi Jones, Tina Pratt, Ethel Bruneau, who's a former chorus line dancer and now a teacher. She was referenced by Travis Knights as his teacher. Mary Bruce, who was Henry Latang's first teacher. And the Silver Bells, as we mentioned before, Alice Whitman, who was one of 4, I think it was 4 total Whitman sisters. They owned and operated their own kind of production company during the vaudeville circuit times, would build shows, tour them, were some of the highest paid artists of the time. Alice Whitman was the dancer, or billed as the dancer among the sisters, and was well known kind of among even kind of the younger generation at that time. So like when I was sitting with Bunny Briggs, he was talking about Alice Whitman as someone who would help dancers out and kind of teach them the ropes. Salt and Pepper was, and I'll mention a book about them as a duo act, two female duo act. The Silver Bells, we talked about before. Been Rich All My Life is the film about them. And there was another group that was around the same time as the Silver Bells called the Swingin' Seniors. I remember them just from my time in New York, but I haven't been able to find more information about them. So just know that, you know, as there was one group that kind of got the film made about them and were well known, there was another group of also former chorus line members that were kind of going around and doing performances. They just weren't as known. And this is more recent history, so like late 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And more modern day names, and these are just jump off points. So I know we're gonna end up leaving people out, and people are gonna be angry. So we're just gonna say this. From this would be like 70s, 80s. Brenda Buffalino, Lynn Daly, Acia Gray, Jane Goldberg, Diane Walker, and many, 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 many more. So, one of the reasons I like to stay out of current history is because it's way more. There's way more information than what we have from the past. So it gets harder to be really complete about it. And that's Mary Bruce. So just watch out in the chat. It's like Bruce Ethel Bruneau. That looks like three names of the same person.
Yeah, so it managed to say
Bruce. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Mary's up top. Okay, yeah. So Mary Bruce, Ethel Bruneau, and then the latter generation. Jane Goldberg has a book. It's amazing. Shoot Me While I'm Happy. There are 2 other books that are worth mentioning. One I just found while doing research for today's show. It's called The Royalty of Negro Vaudeville, The Whitman Sisters and the Negotiation of Race, Gender, and Class in African American Theater, 1900s to 1940. So if you want to know about the Whitman sisters, like that might be a good starting place. one of the things that I really enjoy doing is I'll go to Wikipedia and look at an article, and then I'll look at the sources that they cite and see if I can go to those sources. And if those sources are available, I'll go and I'll grab those sources. So, and you can find out more, and it gets more messy when you start going to the original sources and like hearing that work than if you just hear the kind of accumulated and processed clean history for an article. And then the last book that is worth mentioning here today is called Tappin' at the Apollo, the African American female tap dance duo Salt and Pepper. So before there was, yeah, thank you. Before there was the rap group, there was a tap dance duo. And so there you go. That's like a chunk of stuff that if you use any one of those things as jump off points, you will get a chunk more material. Brenda's still around. Ethel, I think, is still around. Lynn Dalley's still around. Aisha's still around. Jane is still around. Diane Walker is still around. So there are some people on this list that you can still go and bump into and like berate them with emails and find them and get the information that you're trying to get. So I would encourage you to do that. And I'm out. I'm done.
Thank you, Andrew. We'll call you.
All right. So we figure it's better to just like dump all the information, and then we can have a talk about like questions and stuff, than have all the information be sprinkled around through the talk. So let us know if you like that. I think that's worth the feedback. And if this kind of information is helpful, we'll just keep digging up more for the next topic. I know it was fun for me to like go through lists and really try and dig up some things. There are also Jermaine Ingram is still around, and I think she's still doing work in this area. And I know Ayodele Cassell is also doing like very specific work in this area. So if you're interested in kind of getting into what the work is being done now, ping them, right? Go find them. Ayodele is very well like accessible and kind of doesn't hide. And I don't know where Jermaine is hanging out these days, but I know she's around. So those are the people that I know that are still very, very much active. And I know there's like in every generation, there are going to be people who kind of take up the work of doing this kind of work, right? It happens in every cycle. Like 30 years ago, Ernie Smith was the cat who was collecting all the films and showing them everywhere. And that was a particular work. And he wasn't even a tap dancer, but he just liked the thing, right? So his collection is now at the Smithsonian. If you've seen the Tap Dance History DVD, like a lot of those clips came out of his collection, or his and what's the dude's name in LA? Mark something. I'll have to look that up while somebody else is talking, but I'll find it. But those, so if you feel drawn to like this kind of work, get in, because it's part of what happens in the community. Like not yeah, 5 fingers, every finger has a different job, that kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll leave now, and I'll
Like,
Mic drop.
Yeah,
and
sure.
boom, done. Okay, we have a framework.
Yeah, I think that's a good frame. So I have a question because I am there are certain things that I can like maybe think I know, but I can never experience. So no, not Mark Knowles. I will find it. I'm going to pose this question and then I'm going to look up that dude's name. So question for Estefanía and Iselin. What has your experience in your journey been like? Like has being like looked at as female done like been a thing for you, or has it been like whatever? I'll let you think about that. I'll be right back.
You start.
Putting out of the window. Yeah. Okay. So, well, I'm not actually sure how much it is to say about it because in Norway, there has always been mostly women who are interested in tap dance. It's not so many men. Uh, there are some, and they're really good, but they're like, you know, three, four. So, five. So when I started tap dancing, I really didn't think a lot about it because it was just a part of the whole process. I was doing ballet, I was doing jazz, and everybody in tap class was also girls. And I continued doing this, and it was like, okay, one guy there and here and there. I met more often guys, of course, doing tap dance than any others dance class. But not like, I mean, still today with the school at Tickle Toes and stuff like this, the percentage of guys could be higher. It's nice if guys want to come and learn tap dance. You're very welcome to join us. But yeah, I mean, what more to say? I don't really have anything to compare it to. And of course, like the first time I went to LA to go to LA Tap Festival, it was a bit different because there most of the teachers were actually guys, or it was much more male dominated. And maybe some girls want to dance different. Like, I'm not aiming to dance like Jason in that way because I like to dance as a lady when I am a lady, even if it's tap dance. But it's you need the exposure of different types, but that's also not necessarily with gender. That's just the type of style that you as a person like.
I can buy that. Oh sweet, we've got okay. So just for everybody, we got a reference to a movie, Self-Made, which I actually haven't seen, but I'm gonna mess up this name. Mirella says it references the Whitman sisters, so that's kind of cool. So we can check that out.
Just so people see the name of the movie.
So that's an interesting thing. Do you think that you make an interesting point about the aesthetic issue, right? Like how different people dance on account of what they think a model is, or how they think they should dance. So maybe we can go back to that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the aesthetic thing is really interesting.
It's on Netflix.
Oh wow!
Oh, nice. All right. Hopefully it's available in all the regions.
Yeah.
Estefanía, what has your experience been like?
I didn't see like an issue when I started, for sure. when I was a kid, it was not an issue learning tap. We were only girls at class. But maybe I remember the first time that I encountered this kind of issue. We have a company here in Barcelona. It's called Camut Ban. And when I was growing up, this company was only for men. And I was like, oh, wait, I want to be a tap dancer. That's the only company that I know right now. It's only for men. Oh, I was like, oh, I'm done. Like, what do I do now? But in 2010, they opened auditions for everybody. I get in, and I'm the first female on the main show of the company. And it's quite an honor to be there. And more things related. Maybe there's another thing while you're building a company, maybe girls are more interested in joining a company, and guys are a little bit different.
What do you mean? Expand.
Wow,
expand
wow. Why did you start that? No, I should not start that. Okay, wait.
I mean, you can table that and like move on, but I'm curious.
The first 3 guys that I had in the company, they left.
And
the ladies stayed.
Wait, which?
In my company.
Okay.
Yeah, I like talk about Camut Ban, that's a thing, and then with my company, I feel it different. Maybe I found some moment that the guys were like, I don't want to do that, or maybe not following the things that I was saying. In some point, they after like came into the same, but in the first, it was like, we're like this. You know, that's interesting. And the ladies were like, we don't care, let's go. Yeah, but not now. Like the people that I have right now, they're like no issue in there. They're lovely people. I only have Sarita here, but yeah. No, it's real. It's not because it's online and I'm saying this thing. No, it's really not a thing right now. It started in the beginning like kind of tricky, and right now it's great.
So it would be fair to say that there's like general differences.
I can make an example of this.
Okay.
Whoa.
Because and maybe this is just something that I've created partly in my head, but still I kind of feel this. So in my company that I started last year, we only have one guy. Don't be sad for me. But I only have one guy, right? And like in the tap community, there's really no problem. Everybody knows who I am, and they know that I started this company. But if I talk with, if somebody sees us or talks or see a picture or something like this, I have this feeling that they firsthand, and I mean people who's not, they don't know about tap dance really, that kind of people, they always assume that he's the leader. That's a feeling I get. But it could be just me also kind of expecting that that's what they're gonna think. But it says a bit about the society, right?
Yeah, or whatever assumptions, expectations, things are kind of baked in. That's a drag. Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, I can tell you when I started tap dancing, I was the only guy. Like I walked into the room and I was 3.5 years old, but it was like all girls and me.
Oh.
And then over like 7 years of like dance school stuff, the highest number of guys in the studio that I remember over those 7 years was 4. Like there was one cat that was older than us, and then there was me, and there were 2 other guys who were my age, and all the other dancers were women. So it's, I mean, I think it's an interesting like thing to note that I would suspect like the majority of dancers in dance schools are not men.
Mm-mm.
And yet there is this assumption that tap dance is like a very masculine or male dominated form. And I mean, there are probably a multitude of reasons that somebody can dig up in terms of sociologically why that may have happened. But I think we're at an interesting point where aesthetically things are breaking out and kind of we have all the norms from the past, but we also have like folks playing in and around all those norms. And I think that makes for a very interesting time.
Oh. I think we had a question.
Yes, we did.
Not the last one, like one before.
This one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the question is, who do you remember as the first female tap dancer you got to know about as a historical figure or in person? All right. Who you got? Boom, boom.
Historic. What do you mean historic?
Like in movies or things like this.
Like
right?
as a past dancer or in person, like the first female dancer that you met in person and was like, oh, that's an interesting answer.
To return the one. So, I remember very poorly back in the days. I have a lousy memory when it comes to these kind of things.
No.
But I always loved old movies, but I'm not sure if it was Ginger Rogers or Eleanor Powell or which one of them I saw first. I'm not sure.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that's the thing. But you saw them on film.
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Estefanía?
I think like it was my teacher, the thing that I had as a female model. Ooh, is not around anymore. It's like it's around, but it's not tap dancing.
Yeah, but we're asking about historic figure, right?
Yeah, it's because like maybe I started to go dig in the history of tap dancing like really late, maybe 10 years later that I started.
Yeah.
Then all my female models were from Barcelona.
I can kind of relate to that. Same here. No way.
Then historical, I don't know.
That local history is still history, and that can be really important.
Yeah. I had like the first was a girl that is she's a renowned actress here. It's called Xenia Rewan, and Rewan is like if you think on musical theater is one of the names here.
Okay.
And after that was Anna Gish. And Anna Gish also, I think she's coming to the school to Ludier to take classes from Laya, but it's not tap dancing anymore as a teacher or dancer. It's just like receiving classes and having fun.
Cool. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the question actually made me remember somebody that I forgot to put on the list, Barbara Duffy.
Oh.
Yeah, so Barbara Duffy was actually the first female tap dancer that I met in person, like older than me, teacher, that kind of situation. All my teachers coming up were men. So my first teacher, Chris Collins, was a guy. The guy who ran the youth ensemble was Chris Baker, Cassandra Baker. They weren't married at the time, but I think they got married later. Was kind of the assistant director of the company. But Barbara Duffy came down to DC to work with Savion when Savion was doing his residencies, and she was his associate choreographer. Like, Savion was 17, he wasn't counting at the time, so Barbara would like learn the step, count it out, figure out how long it was, and see if they needed. And she was like his memory while he was making the stuff. So it was really, really interesting to get to know Barbara at that point. I was 10 years old, so I was super, super young. But Barbara Duffy is still around and a phenomenal phenomenal dancer and teacher. So yeah, put that name down.
Yeah, it's because I said like here was not an issue. I had like men teachers and women teacher then. Not a thing.
Barbara.
Did I type too fast now?
Yeah,
I did. Sorry, guys.
That's cool.
Barbara.
Translation. New languages.
Yay!
And this is how things change. It's all good.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Next.
Moving on. So, I'm curious for Estefanía and Iselin.
You're too curious today.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's my dream.
Go.
Because I don't.
Be curious. It's okay.
It's fun.
Do you feel like in the scene today, or in the work that you do today, that there is a pressure for either of you to conform to a particular type? Like, you're a female dancer, you should move like this, you should be dressed like this, you should be, dancing to this kind of music. Do you feel any of that today, or have you?
I just do what I want.
There you go. Boom.
I mean, I know what I like, and I don't really. Okay, like without assuming, but I think that's why my students also like taking class with me, because I do the stuff that I like, and it's quite varied. It doesn't have to be either or. So I never kind of saw it that way. I give my students everything. Like, sometimes I can give them much more hardcore or funky or stuff like this, and like, I took the chance now that I had a summer class in June, and I felt like doing something Latin, and it was only girls in the class. I had no guys this time, so I was like, okay, I'll take the chance, and we do something a bit more feminine. So it depends a bit of my mood, what I want to do.
That's awesome. You okay? Yeah, no,
I mean,
there's tons more.
I always think about the aesthetics of tap dance. I just don't. My focus is not just from the knees and down. I always explain to the students I have, or if it's my company or whatever, that you have to use your body in this way, because I like other dance styles which influence what I do. So I often tell the girls that, you girls, if you want, you can do this and this. If you want it to be more feminine, or you can do like this and this.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Estefanía.
Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to think what to answer to that. I think I don't have. Well, maybe the answer is like, when I'm creating stuff, I'm being like so neutral that people of both genders can engage in this thing. and it makes sense for me with the company. If it's too feminine, guys will be like, I don't like it. It's a possibility, but I don't like it to see it on my thing. Then I found like a movement that is more lineal, like lines and geometrical stuff that is working for everybody. And the thing that I'm saying to my dancers is like, okay, those are the steps. Those are like kind of the movements, but move your own way. But I'm not thinking to not be feminine or not to be masculine. I'm just being like, I don't know, maybe I build like this more center thing that is working for me. Maybe it's also due to because my inspirations when I was a kid was Sharon. There was like maybe more feminine than me. And Camus, they were like so masculine. And then I built like something in the middle because of that. But yeah, I feel good. I'm not thinking on these things. It's natural right now.
That's awesome.
I didn't mean to take it away. I will say something to this. I see, for instance, in salsa community and stuff, guys wearing kind of what you would call heels in tap dancing. And they don't look feminine. So it's about the attitude of whatever you're dancing. I mean, a hand movement, if, for instance, Estefanía mentioned lines, right? If you put a hand movement, you can choose to do it very neutral, or you can choose to do it feminine. It's your own choice. So the same goes with whatever kind of dance you are dancing in tap dance. You can always make it feminine if you want to, but that's kind of something that comes from you because you want to dance that way.
I think there's an interesting thing as we're using kind of masculine and feminine as like shortcuts for a particular cultural norm, that those norms have changed over time. Like if you go back to Elizabethan England, like the guys were wearing high heels and the women were not. Right. And it was this idea of like literally trying to be taller. Right. Whereas my understanding of the high heel in like American or kind of Western fashion as of late is an extension of the line of the leg. And kind of like forcing the calf to be more defined as somebody walks. My tap shoes are like an inch and a half heel. Like that's what they are, just because of the buildup. But I will tell you, when Henry Latang was teaching, like if a lady walked into his class wearing flats, he was like, no, you're dancing in heels. And that's because the majority of his work was like with chorus lines and with that kind of aesthetic. So he was going to train you to match that kind of aesthetic. In addition to yep. Right.
Or maybe you want to feel taller. No.
Well, yeah, sure. But they're like, high heels are so actually like destructive to your feet, like anatomically speaking. So like, watch out, I guess.
But then I have a question now. So to both of you, both can answer this that way. Yeah. Do you think if you do tap dancing today as a lady, do you think that you should have a pair of heels and normal shoes, of course, or flats or whatever you call it? But do you think that's something you should?
I don't have.
Oh, the faces of you guys. Okay. I think.
Okay, I'll tell you what I did. After about a year of teaching at Broadway Dance Center, so when I was like 7 or 8, my mom took tap dance lessons. She was like, my son's doing this. I need to at least learn kind of what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a class. And she saved her shoes. So when I started teaching, I realized like there were people coming into my class who were wearing heels. And I'm like, I've never danced in heels. I don't know what that does to your technique or where it puts your body or any of that stuff. And it changes everything mechanically about where your body sits and how much range of motion you have in your ankle. And like, it changes a lot. So I asked my mom to pull out her shoes and see if I could fit in them. And so for like a moment, just a moment, I put them on, they fit, and I danced in them just to get a feel for what, like where that put my body and what that did to everything that I assumed was right about tap dance mechanics, so that if I'm now going to teach someone who's in heels, I can know why, why something might not be working or why it's harder. Because heels makes a lot of things more difficult mechanically. So execution becomes more difficult. But I don't think it's a should or should not. I think it's like, if you want to work in a situation where they're asking you to be in heels, then yes, you need to do that. If you don't want that work, then but you like to dance in heels, then yes, you should do that too. But it's really, I think the aesthetic question is twofold: whether you want the work or whether you like how it looks. But other than that, kind of, it is what it is.
Because I'm just thinking, like, in other styles, some dance styles, couple dances, female have to wear heels, right? That's just how it is. And back in the days, if you see all the footage of the ladies, most of them actually had high heels. It was the standard before compared to what it is now, right? It's just interesting to kind of see how we're evolving too, with when we're talking about femininity in tap dance, for instance.
Well, I think the fashion. So there's the fashion kind of formed at a particular time in a particular way, but that's just one way, right? If you go further back, you go all the way back, it's like no shoes, everybody's flat. Cool, we're good. Right? And then you start having like shoes, and what kind of shoes, and does your shoe make you higher or make you more seemingly more attractive in whoever you're trying to attract? Or like it's a mess. It really can become a mess. So if you enjoy the particular form, then yeah, dive in, man. But if you don't, or if you find it hurtful on your body to be in that space, then get out.
Yeah, keeping quiet.
Wow. I don't have high heels at all. Never. But I spent at least more than 10 years working on Spanish dance. They use high heels. Then I know how to do like a percussive dance on high heels because of that. But I never did it on tap dancing. And the first time they asked me for that was Jacob's Pillow. They asked me to bring high heels, and I was like, oh, that will be a thing. It was like 3 years ago. Then I borrowed, I think, from Helen Duffy. I don't know if you know. Yeah, she gave it to me. I tried, and I realized that it was changing my whole aesthetic of the things that I was doing. Like all my vocabulary was gone. Like I can tap dance on this, but it's like totally different. Then maybe if I'm thinking to do something different than what I'm doing, I will use this thing. But for now, it's not a thing. And finally, in the pillow, maybe we were like more than half of the class ladies. Most of them with high heels, and we were like fourth of the group without high heels. We finally decided to dance in flat foot. And we're like I can use my regular tap shoes, and they said like, yes, great. If not, I will die. It was not a thing for me. It was not a thing there, because if you don't train that thing, you cannot do it in one day. And the things that they were asking, nah.
It's really something you have to get used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's an interesting conversation to say, okay, well, how much does the shoe affect the form of the dance? Right. Yeah.
For me, a lot.
Yeah, and well, I think for most people, it would, and I think it's a good experience to have to realize how much it shifts things. But I don't, unless there's pressure for work or craft, or like you want to work with this particular teacher and they mandate that you have heels, then go. Or you want to learn this particular tradition that is a part of this body of work and that has heels, then you go. But I don't think it's so much. I don't think it's so much like a must these days.
I think it's an interesting thing to try, because you will see things, but not like you need to do that. I think it's depending on your journey, but
I have a feeling that it's kind of making a bit of a comeback though, because I see more and more girls wanting to learn actually to tap on heels. They already know how to tap, but they want to actually explore with heels too. And as for now, like through the last maybe 10 years, the standard has been that if you do like musical theater, you tap on heels. But other than that, it's not so normal. But now I kind of see it more and more, both for the already leading ladies of tap during these times, and also from students, that they're interested in finding the balance, because that's what it is.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and I remember the like. So in the 90s, it was in the circles that I was in, it was not a thing, right? And then there became this kind of conversation about like, okay, do we make it a thing again? Like, is it something that we want to, even after so many people like made choices to dance in flats and to like kill the stereotype of women have to dance in heels if they're going to dance. There was like this resurgence of, well, what if I want to dance in heels? And what if I want to like throw down as much as I want to, and this is the instrument that I want to use. And I think that might be part of the reason of why it might come back. Right? We had when I was in tie-dye, we had a piece. I think so. Tie-dye was equal. We had the same number of guys, women and men, in the company, and I think we had a piece in which the women actually changed from flats to heels, or it was one piece that they were in heels specifically for. And it was right around. It was like around the same time that Henry's wife had passed away, and so we were like, he was on a lot of people's minds at that time. So I don't know why the choice was made to get the heels back, but it was made, and I think for me, at least in my journey, that was like, oh, this is a thing again. Like outside of the musical theater world, outside of the theatrical space, which was interesting.
I'm a bit like, when it comes to this thing with heel, is that if you're a girl dancing in or doing a show, or you put up your show, or you choreograph or whatever. And if you picture that the girls are going to be in skirts, not pants, then aesthetically it's much nicer with heels. Guys don't wear skirts, unfortunately, and that's why they wouldn't wear heels. But if you have a dress on, it's not that good looking with flats. It's my opinion. I know not everybody, but that's just like, then you can wear pants instead. It looks nicer. But
We promised
break the
opinions,
line.
and you got opinions. There it is.
It's my opinion. Nobody kill me, okay?
Yeah.
I know people disagree, so it's okay.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, I have said live on stage at one point how much I think. Wait, what happened?
No.
I was just like,
I'm still thinking. So figure out my opinion on this.
your face was saying everything.
No, it's like it's a thinking face. All right, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Continue.
No, I mean, shoot. I think the aesthetically there it really is a function of like attraction. For me at least, it's like what's gonna break a line, what isn't gonna break a line. Seeing, and I just think it's super hip to see a female dance in heels. That's I've said that live on the mic in front of an entire audience because that's just where I'm at. But I know how difficult that is and how it can actually wreck your feet. So I'm not necessarily a fan that way. And I wouldn't force dancers into a set of heels just cause. But if somebody chooses,
Yeah, I have to. My epiphany when it came to this was, okay, Stockholm Tap Festival. How many years had it been now? This was a long time ago. Have you been 15 already? No.
15? Stockholm?
No, I'm kidding,
maybe.
right?
10?
I mean, more than 10, or at least 10.
Okay, okay. So I think this was like 10 years ago because we were not in the big space yet. We had still the small theater. And Dormisha did one of her solos where she was wearing like this red lace top, red pants, and heels, and she killed that solo. Like, oh my god! And like how strong she was doing that solo was amazing. Just really, really amazing. I remember two things from that year's Stockholm Tap Festival. It was her solo, and it was Max Pollock coming down from behind the aisle with doing his body percussion singing thing. That's the two things that stood out. And I don't know, it just wouldn't have had the same impact if she actually was wearing flats because it was so impressive what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not 10 years ago. If last year was 10 years, that's okay. So it's like 7 years ago or something, I think. It was number 3 or something. But yeah, it just made a huge impression of the fact that she actually was doing this in heels. It's really impressive when you know how to do it.
Yep.
Estefanía still has the same face.
Come on!
Okay, you gotta explain what you're thinking now.
Because if I'm thinking specifically in the Misha, I don't see like the feminine part. Like I see something like really strong, no gender.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like she's everything, right?
Then connecting the heels with the feminine is because I was thinking like, there's something messing up here.
Yeah, no, it's just the whole, not just the heels, but I mean the whole picture of that solo.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm saying like, I love this thing, but I don't see like the feminine part. Even she is. I only see like the energy that she's putting on stage, and more like I don't see a gender. Like I don't know why. But every time I see Dormisha in heels, it's not oh, I can see the lady on her. No, I see everything. I see the lady, I see the man, I see Tap.
Yeah, of course.
That's it. Nothing more to add. Yeah, that was my thinking. You're free?
What?
No.
Continue. Take a pause, let it settle.
Take a pause, like drink tea.
When we're talking about this, I think it's important to just mention also that as a lady, I mean, don't be offended because it is a difference between a man and a woman. That's just natural anatomy, or whatever you want to call it, right? We are different, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same as maybe you like to be more groovy or funky, or maybe you like to be more elegant and classy. I mean, it's just everybody is different, and it's okay to dance like a lady if you are a lady.
Well, I mean, then you have a dancer like who is it? Caleb Tyker, who is performing in heels.
Oh, Caleb, yeah.
Right? And so I think we're at a place like dance-wise where if you're coming into the form, part of the practice is to, if you want to, part of the practice is to know what the forms have been, like what the cultural norms of aesthetics have been in the past. But I think we're at a place where I mean, and it might Caleb Tyker, CALEB TEICHER.
Somebody write it.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Right. So we're
yeah.
we're
Thank you, Bernie.
Talking about Caleb's work for the moment, but I think
I love his work. It's amazing. I get so fascinated.
I mean, he's a phenomenal dancer, a really interesting aesthetic. But I think his work shows that at least in the worlds that he works in, right, there is that freedom now to say, well, what aesthetic do I want to present in this particular piece, or in this particular piece, or in this particular piece, right? And I think that becomes yeah, that's the thing. You might, like, for some of our listeners or watchers, you might be in a place that the culture or the space doesn't allow for that freedom yet. And that's the thing. Like, there might be spaces that are more like, I mean, man, excuse me. No, I think there might still be spaces that haven't gone through the progression yet, right? There's still people that I encounter that, like, I've never seen tap dancers act as a musician before. Like, it's actually music, and I'm sitting there going, yes, it is. I'm glad that I'm glad that you've come to that stage. So it takes people, like, it might take people a long time to get to a spot where, if you want to dance in flats, or if you want to dance in heels, or if you want to have like a softer aesthetic, or one that's more like line based and not kind of, I'm just playing this music and whatever my body does, it does kind of thing, or whatever, wherever it is that you want to go. I think it might take a second. It's possible that it might take a second for your audience to say, cool. But that doesn't discount your, like, the direction that you feel that you want to go in terms of your dancing or your practice. And I think because we, as a community or as a form, there is so much space, the faster you find out the thing that you like, the sooner you get to, like, enjoy that and say, oh yeah, this is my home. I can do all that other stuff, but this is where I actually come to life.
Find your voice, and it can be anything.
I'm lost in the comments. I'm trying to.
Yeah, me too. So something I should go back to here. We had a lot.
I have this wonderful feeling that in tap there's no women steps and men steps.
Yes. Boom.
Yeah, I think in the past there might have been, or there's steps that would, like, show up more in one space or the other, but I don't think, there's always an exception. Like, look at the Miller Brothers and Lois, man. That's the thing for me. Lois shows up those guys on every single section of that piece.
Ouch.
I'm like, all right, cool. Done.
This is for you, Andrew. Let's see if you have an answer.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if this is the clip that you found, but so this is the DVD, right? The archivist here is Mark Cantor. And so Juanita Pitts is on this. It's a clip from It Happened in Harlem in 1945. The other stuff that's available, or that might be available, Margaret Morrison would be the person to contact. Margaret Morrison is a tap dancer, did a lot of work with the American Tap Dance Orchestra, and I think she's continually involved with the American Tap Dance Foundation. But she's kind of focused on Juanita Pitts as a personal passion project. So outside of that clip, and this is the one from It Happened in Harlem, is Juanita Pitts in, like, a business suit and flats and just a solo performance. She's on, like, a very low bandstand in front of a band. And this is how you get footage, right? If it's not on YouTube and you can't buy it, you have to find the person who has it. You have to find out how to contact them, and you can drop our names. You can say, hey, I heard about you on this thing by these people, and they said that I should find you with regards to this. And then that gives you some sort of, it gives the person who's listening some sort of frame. And then you can move, you go through that conversation that way and see what they say. If they say, yeah, I have a few, but I'm not sharing them right now, then that's your answer. If they say, I have a few and, I'll show you one, but send me an email, or, there's some sort of exchange involved, then that's the thing. But that's how you go and get it. That's how it works. Okay, there's a question for wait. Oh, okay.
Hey, but wait, I'm lost. Yeah. Like, Alexis wasn't not okay.
He didn't have any questions. He just comment because he's a dancer himself.
There's a question from Courtney for Estefanía and Iselin.
But wait, we're jumping.
Yeah.
We're going northward.
Was it this you were thinking, Estefanía?
Yeah, but I didn't read it.
No, because
that's about guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about guys. We say guys will rather play soccer or do sports or do things that require less gracefulness or delicacy? Question mark?
Yeah, I didn't see it as a question. I think he just...
No, I was just reading.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, this is interesting though.
Fun fact. Hey, back in the days, butchers used to wear high heels to avoid blood.
Butchers? What is a butcher?
Oh, people who cut meat.
Okay.
Okay, this is the next question actually on the list. Or comment question. Yeah.
Yeah, comment question.
But yes, I think let's skip to Courtney. Mhm.
Courtney, okay. So the question
Yes.
for Estefanía and
Okay.
Iselin is,
Yeah, I
did
can
you
start
ever
because the second.
consider solo careers, or did you always want to leave companies? Do you think having male dancers leave the company more often is because of the historical success of men's solo careers versus women's? Ooh.
I can start
question.
because the last part is more relatable to Estefanía, I think, than me, because I'm
still
only have one guy and he loves it. So, okay. So, I mean, one thing doesn't exclude the other. It was just, I think I mentioned this in one of the earlier talks too, but it just seemed like the right time to do something like this. And that doesn't mean that because I did already like organize Tap Oslo. I've done solo shows. I done like working with only musicians in a band, these kind of things. So I kind of like felt like in my spectrum, that was something I wanted to do now. Because I love choreographing and I love organizing per se, and that fits very well if you want to put together a group of people to make a show. So when you have the ideas and stuff, it just felt right. Like, okay, I need to do this now. So it wasn't because no, I don't want a solo career or I don't want to do that. It was just okay, put my tools into use. Literally. And this with the male dancers, I think that's more for Estefanía to talk about. What do you think?
Okay. Wait. Okay. Solo career.
Okay.
Courtney! That's the thing. Like when I'm thinking on a solo career, I'm saying more as a musician, maybe. Like you go as a soloist and go with bands or something like this. But I didn't consider that thing because I really like to choreograph, to be in that place. And I think it's connect with the male dancers in my company, that maybe the goal for them is more a solo career, and being on a company sometimes is not fitting at all with the plan. It's like a kind of a tool, then they use like to train and to do things and then move to the thing that they want to do.
But do you think it has to be either or? Like for the male, if we're talking about you losing or they quit, right, the company to be solo artist, but why does it have to be either or? Why can't they be in the company and also have a solo career at the same time? Many people do that, right? Or
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think. Well, you go.
No, I was just like trying to repeat the same thing about the solo career. Well, go. Maybe I will have more stuff.
Okay, I mean, I can
you.
just talk about the experiences that I've had with cats paying dues, and it really depends on what like where somebody is in the development of their career and how much time or flexibility they need to do the things that they want to do. So if the company that you're in requires like 15 or 20 hours of your week, then the development of a solo career might be really challenging. But if the company that you're in requires like an average of 5 hours a week, but they might all be like in 1 week, so you get a 20-hour week in 1 week of the month, but the rest of the month you can do whatever you want, then maybe a solo career is totally possible. But I think it really depends on the company that you're in and what their structure is, because their structure is going to be the limiting factor, right? Like, and also I think the work, right? We do the work that we do is embodied. So if you're working with a particular choreographer for a very intense amount of time, your body's going to change to adapt to that work, right? If you then want to have a solo career that's not related to that work, you're going to need equal time at least away to develop how, like, your habits and the rhythms that you reach for and the steps that you reach for, so that they're not linked, right, to where you have come from, if you don't want the relationship to be seen. But if you don't mind and you want the relationship to be seen, then maybe it's more doable, or you feel like you have a foundational structure that's strong enough that, like, I can hop here, I can do work with choreographer A, and then I can go back and I can go to choreographer B and I can do their work, and that's cool too, and then I can come back, and you don't feel like you're being pulled in directions. You just feel like I go in, I do this gig, and then I come back out. I don't think I would be able to do that, but that's just me.
I think also adding to this, I was thinking a little bit. I grew up in a community that the work and the jobs were on companies. Then I didn't have the solo career on mind to have as a goal. And all I was seeing in the scene here was companies. I think came later when the internet came up, and then you see like, oh, maybe it's an option. But I don't remember as an option here when I was growing up. Yeah. But, and connecting to the companies, for example, if I'm thinking on Kamutban, they're giving you space to do a solo career. It's because I can go with my company and all my projects and being part of the company. Because when there's a gig, we see the same day of the gig is the rehearsal. Like, there's nothing else. We're like going into this. Yeah. It's like, it's that kind of stuff that is like so simple and so fun to work on, because you have freedom inside of this, that it's so easy to set a gig with them. And we don't have rehearsals. And they're not pushing you, but asking you to be a dancer on your own and being part of this.
Yeah.
This is a kind of company also that is possible. And maybe depending on that, you can build like both things or just one, depending on the company that you're in.
So, and just to double check.
Yeah, that is Margaret Morrison. That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started laughing so hard of this, Kate.
Oh.
So yeah.
No comment.
No comments.
Don't go there.
Where am I going? I'm not going anywhere.
Oh,
yeah. Man.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, what else? I don't know.
But I don't want to see that, but it's in my mind right now. There's a lot of women on charge of things.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's it. Change.
I mean, I think that today you are in a society that you can do what you want to do.
Hmm.
There's really not much restrictions. If you find something that you want to do, go for it. If you work hard enough, you will get it. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just so it's not, well, yeah. I think work ethic is definitely a thing, but in every success story that I've witnessed, and that, like, even in my own journey, there are always going to be people that come to support you, and that's really important. Like, nobody lands in a spot where they're like where they're ready and able and can show up and like have the career that they need to have to consider themselves a success without help, like without actual significant other people going, oh, you see this person over here, yeah, you should actually check out this person. We can do a lot with social media today to get to an audience and to develop our own audience, but organic growth of an audience is people telling other people that they should see or hear or listen to or watch like a particular person, and that's help. Like that's an actual thing. So I would keep that, you know, be open to that. Don't lock that down.
Hmm.
Right.
What was that?
Get.
All right, I'm gonna read it out. Do you think we talk about we talk enough about female tap dancers on classes, etc.? History is dominated by men, but there are very influential women as well, I think. In general, what do you guys think?
I talk about whoever I feel like talking about. I guess this is the topic of me today. I just do what I want. No, I mean, I I can be inspired by so many different type of people, and sometimes I talk a lot about female dancers. Sometimes I talk a lot about male dancers. Sometimes I talk about people who's not dancers at all, depending. Um, but maybe it was like this a bit before. I don't know, but when I go to a class today, wherever it is in the world, I feel that they talk about both. It's not just talk about the man. So I didn't ever think that why aren't you talking about women? I always felt that there was talk about women. But of course, I've seen these interviews where you go on the street. They done a lot of interviews in the States, though. I haven't seen that in Europe, but in the States, interviewing people saying, "Who do you think about when you think about tap dance?" And they say, "Fred Astaire." That's the only thing they say. They never say Ginger Rogers.
Well, and that's because Fred Astaire wasn't always partnered, right? He did dance solo, and then he had many different partners in the films.
But I saw this interview, and they ask after the people say Fred Astaire, they say, "Okay, but what about his dance partner?" Yeah, Ginger Rogers. Everybody knows.
Right.
It's like, okay, why didn't you ask about that, or why didn't you say her? Why did you say him?
Yeah. Also, there's a thing when we try to mention people on like, when was this thing? I think it was in the pillow too.
Huh?
I don't know who did that thing on the pillow. I don't remember which teacher. Like just through honoring and saying a name on the room. And I remember most of them were men.
Oh, I was there, right?
In the pillow?
No, no, no. They did the same thing in Stockholm once.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, Giovanni? I don't know. I don't remember who was. But yeah, I've been involved in this kind of things like several times. And always there's like the first names are men. Just like saying, no opinion, just saying.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think history is dominated by the people who write history, and those writers are people who are in positions of power. Like it doesn't it doesn't slip by me the fact that Winston Churchill wrote something like 8 or 9 books while he was fighting World War II. And so like he's writing history. He's writing the history while the thing is happening, and like making sure that he's going to be the one that the history, like, that people have to read, right? So that's a thing. So just know that, like, at any point in history, there's always a minority report, right? There's always a narrative, a thing that is going on that the general narrative, the general view, the general perception is blind to. And so if we keep our eyes on that, then we'll always have a broader vision of kind of what is actually going on. And we won't be surprised by things. We'll just, while everybody else is like, oh my gosh, I never knew. You're like, yeah, okay, that's always been going on. But now we want to do something about it. Like, okay, cool. We get to do something about it now because there's consensus and there's energy behind it. But, yeah, and that's the people in the positions will always move around. But the structure, I think, will generally be the same.
Yeah. I think it was Nico who did this in Stockholm. Yeah, I was going to say it earlier. I was thinking that.
I've been in this thing many times. I think there's only one person doing this.
Yeah,
so,
it's a common practice. I mean, it's not a bad thing to do.
Maybe everybody who's listening in today, when this happened, say a female's name then. Don't say Gregory Hines. Somebody else is going to say that, okay? Go for it. It's your responsibility now.
Whoa!
No!
Bada boom!
Say multiple names. Like, don't just say one.
Yeah.
Shoot, man. There's so many names that get forgotten.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason that we have a list of names on the Tap Legacy Foundation's website is because the names get forgotten. And if there's a name on there that you don't know about, like, all the more reason to go search for them, because that's the process. And if you've said it, I did this once on a panel discussion where they're like, all right, well, like, share with us some names. And everybody said 1 or 2, and I was like, bleh, and said like 15 in a row, which, people are like, who the heck are you? Because I was the young one.
Then we can say Pula Andrew, and that means that. Say 15 names.
Sure. Just say them all. Like, why do we have to limit ourselves to any standard of like, well, this person has reached a particular place in their career. What's his name? Greg Burge is all but forgotten, but had a huge impact on many people. And just because he passed away early, he was forgotten. And you're like, all right, well, if his name needs to be on the list, like, let's put him on the list. Let's say it. Right? And it's going to be the same with Gregory. Gregory was gone in 2003. That means there's now a generation who's come up in tap dance land that might not intersect with him until somebody says his name. And the movie Tap is as old as 1989. So you're like, whatever. It's like, it's a B level movie with really good dancing. So maybe my 13-year-old will watch it, maybe not, And we are, part of the nature of the business is that the media turns over, right? Chloe has a new film out. There's going to be new shows that are coming out. So there's always going to be something new that attracts the current audience. If we want old names to be remembered, like, we have to carry them somehow. and not just say that we know who they are, but not be vocal about it. Courtney, so the people who've run companies, Brenda Buffalino, Lynn Daly, Acia Gray, they have like bodies of work, right? I don't know if any one of them would be considered by the community a standard, but there is a dance called For Dancers Only that Marion Coles choreographed. That Estefanía, do you know this?
Yeah, I read about it.
But do you know the piece or no?
I didn't see it. I just read about it.
Okay. So when Marion was alive, that was the thing that she would set on people if there was going to be a performance or anything, and it was in the rep of the Silver Bells. Michaela Lerman, I think, knows this piece. Michaela and I were both in a show called Vaudeville 2000 that Marion was in, and Marion set the piece on a number of the cast members. I wasn't a part of it, but that was something that they did. And the piece was done, it was set by Tommy Dorsey. The music was set by Tommy Dorsey specifically for a chorus line. Like, so the music was written for dancers. Piece is called For Dancers Only, and Marion was the one who choreographed it. So that would be kind of an amazing thing to kind of bring back out.
This footage, no, of this should be footage at least from Michaela or something like this. I don't think so from Marion.
There would be. I know there's clips. I know the show Vaudeville 2000 was recorded, so I know there are performance clips floating around of that time, and Marion was there during that. So I don't know of anything prior to that would have been recorded, but I'm sure somebody has something.
But like, for instance, you mentioned Barbara Duffy. No, was it Brenda? You said
Barbara Duffy, and she had a company, and she had tons of rep.
Because what I'm thinking also is that, some of these pieces will turn into standards eventually, but they're still kind of too fresh in a way.
I mean, I don't know, because the majority of company material for like American Tap Dance Orchestra was the 80s. 80s and mid 90s.
Yeah,
I think there's something messing up with the word standard.
Like, standards was adopted from the jazz world, right? And there's a difference when you have a piece of music that gets radio play that everybody else then learns so that they can play it in their set when they're playing a live set, and the musician gets paid every time it gets played, right? So there is in the music business, there is coverage, at least there has been, and they're trying to continue it today, but there are mechanisms in place for both the writer and the publisher, because there's two different things. It's like the person who actually wrote the thing and then the person who's distributing it. Both get paid when a piece of music when you hear it, or when somebody on a bandstand plays it. Like, there's money that's going places. In the tap dance world, we don't have those mechanisms. So we just kind of at some point said, well, if you want to be a tap dancer, you have to learn Laura. Like, that was a thing that happened. And then Opus 1 was a thing that happened. But at no point did we put in the mechanisms that, like, well, if you're teaching Laura or if you're learning Laura, like, Buster's son is getting paid. Or if you're teaching Opus, or if you're learning Opus, Harold's granddaughter is getting paid. Like, the estates are there, but the mechanisms aren't in place. So I don't necessarily subscribe to the quote unquote standards idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stuff that happened. Who knows why the BS chorus landed as a thing that we all do? I don't know. Right? I know about the Tree of Hope. I know that, like, everybody used to just have it in the bag so that you could do a thing together, and that's legit. But the BS chorus is one chorus, and it's easy. It's not a 4-minute routine, right? That has a legit choreographer and has like a history of being brought to life and a family estate behind it, right? It's not intellectual property in that way. BS Chorus, we don't even know who made it. So that's, yeah, we can rant on that for days, but I would just ask about the repertoire that's available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any female tap shoe designers out there?
I don't know. Who's designing Casemiro shoes?
No idea.
Exactly. Might be a
Which
female.
one?
I don't know.
Casemiro. Casemiro is a brand here in Barcelona.
Ah, okay.
And they have like nice high heels.
Hmm.
I think maybe one of the best.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if Casemiro is a lady or a man. I don't know. I was there once. I met a
In
lady.
the store,
She's-
they're ladies.
Yeah, she
But
spoke
I don't know
only
the shoemaker. I can figure it out. I can ask.
because
Oh,
that's the
right.
only one that might be.
Wait!
Huh?
Ruben shoes are made by a woman.
Mates. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. There it is. So, and that's so, you know, that's a really interesting example, right? Because Chloe and Maud, who's the actual shoe maker? It's Block, right? And I guess they co-designed or they went through the process with the shoemaker to brand a shoe that's theirs. Great. Ruben Sanchez went to Mates and said, we're going to make these shoes, and the owner or creator of Mates is female. So which one is actually a female maker?
But wasn't Ruben and Casemiro the same before, and then he split? He used Casemiro in the beginning.
Yeah. Like the idea of Ruben Sanchez is from him. And
Yeah, of course.
he's finding a shoemaker. And in the beginning was Casemiro.
Mhm.
They didn't work out. Finally, I don't know details, and he moved to Mates.
Yeah.
But yeah, the designer is Ruben, is male.
Yeah, but then that means literally that if you go to Casemiro, because there you literally design your shoes as you do with Capezzo when you order from Matt, right? You pick exactly how you want the shoes to look. So in that kind of sense, then you're the shoemaker.
But no, because you're not
Designer, sorry.
you're not designing the last. So there's a difference between getting a custom K360 and actually getting a custom shoe.
Mhm.
Right? Getting a custom shoe means you go in and you say, I want this piece of leather here. I want this piece of leather here. I want this piece of leather here. I want the laces to come up this way. I want the tongue to look like this. Right? Getting a custom Key 360 is, I want this color here. I want this color here. I want this high of a heel. Right? And those are two really big different processes. Because what happens when you do a custom shoe is the shoemaker takes the last, which is like this wooden, weird looking thing that is supposed to be your foot. And they start cutting leather pieces around it. Right? And they don't have a stencil, like something that says, okay, this is the first leather piece, and I just put that there, and we want it in this color, that's great, and we just put it there. They're making it from scratch. And so if they cut it wrong, they got to do it again. And so that's an actual custom shoe. Right? The custom shoes that we get now are different colors. Great, awesome. But the actual shoe is exactly the same. And so you're getting a K360 or a K360 boot or a Ruben Sanchez or a Ruben Sanchez boot, but you're not getting a shoe for your foot. right? That's literally designed like cut so that your foot fits in that leather shape.
I think here in Spain, there's a lot of people doing this thing.
Hmm.
Like Lucas
Yeah.
in Madrid is doing this thing. Kelly,
I mean, the
how
craft
I
work of
forget the name.
making shoes in Spain is like some of the best in the world. Really, like, so if you want to really make your own shoes, that's where you need to go.
Yeah, and you can do it there because you have access to the makers.
Yeah.
Right, La Duca, the shoes that I wear, their makers are in Italy. And they do a bunch of custom shoes for Broadway shows, and they also do high fashion shoes, but all their makers are in Italy. So when I go to the shop, I say, okay, I want this shoe because I know it works. I know it fits my foot. I've danced in it. And we pick colors or something, but I tried to do a custom shoe with them, and it's difficult because their makers are, a quarter of the way around the world. So it's kind of it can be a toss up. Sometimes it works really well, but it can be a toss up. Yeah, and you would have your feet measured so that they can either cut the sole or match that measurement to the model of the foot that they're using.
Yep. I think Jofra is also doing something here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a thing. I don't know.
I mean, I remember when it was like a K360 or bust. There wasn't really another shoe. I mean, there were obviously, but there wasn't really another shoe in the scene that you would, you look down at a tap dancer and you're like, oh, you're serious. It was like you wore one shoe and that was it. And if you didn't have that, like you weren't really serious about what you were doing.
Oh, you didn't know about Dansky?
I didn't know about Dansky until I came to New York.
Ooh.
And the only folks who wore Dansky were when I was when I was young in the early 90s, the only people I saw wear Danskys were American Tap Dance Orchestra folk.
I might be very ignorant here, but I haven't heard about it.
So Dansky was from Israel, right? Brenda Buffalino, there was some connection there. And I think Miller and Benz are related to that shoe.
Yes. Okay. I don't know which of them. Like one of them was in Dansky and then split and create Miller and Ben. But I don't know. Maybe Ben? I don't know.
So there's a connection there.
Yes.
But Dansky's for me, when I was coming up in the early 90s, like they were the wingtips. They were the black and white with the little thing on the front, and they had a little label on the outside that said Dansky.
Yeah.
And it was like, you had Leo's. Leo's was another shoe that like
not here
in the Midwest more. Like basically, you had Savion wearing a K360. This is highly generalized. This is horrible. Savion wore a K360. American Tap Dance Orchestra had Danskys, and then like there were random other things. Leo's was one of them. I don't remember any other shoemaker. I'm sure there were. And then you had the normal like people putting taps on jazz shoes and things like that. That was going on. But shoes are funny.
I think Guillem still has Dansky.
Wow.
Still, yeah, and because of Guillem that he came here, when I was growing up, was a thing. Like people asking for that shoes, and the year that I was asking, like ordering one, they closed. Yo, shoot. Yeah.
Oh man.
And then came like Miller and Ben, and then I went to Miller and Ben.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I remember going to New York to order my first pair of K360s, and like you walk into you couldn't get them, but in the flagship store, which was the one on 52nd or 51st and Broadway. So you have to go upstairs, and they take you into the back because it was the professional shoe, and they size you, and I'm, I don't know, 12 or something, 11, and the first pair I got was tan. And everybody is looking at me like, you got a tan pair of shoes? What were you thinking? Like, the options were black or tan. And I was like, oh, I like tan. Tan is cool. It's, just to be different.
Oh.
And so now to see all the colors and like people rocking white shoes and, denim and leopard print and all the things. I'm like, wow, what what happened?
I had the black and white for a long time, like really long time.
Yeah, it's a thing.
And I think the first time we changed color was with Sharon, and we paint them. Like literally, like we're like.
Yeah.
I still have them paint there.
Wow.
They work. They're nice. Yep.
That's priceless.
So
I
we
think
went
people
over to
is
full
sleeping.
I mean, nobody said anything, so I guess.
No, I think for like a couple minutes they're like out. They're eating. They're getting food.
Okay, but hold on. Before guys go to sleep, then let's say this: we already planned the next one, which is gonna be 15th of August, and the topic is gonna be tap dance as music. So we're going on for a Saturday, 15th of August, in 3 weeks, at 6 o'clock. We will announce it. But
Yeah.
yes,
We will changing things.
now we said it, so you can save the date for those who are interested. Anything else we should mention before we go to sleep, since that's what we were talking about?
I want food. And
Me too. Me too.
Go
I have a pizza coming soon. So.
amazing.
No, I think as always, I think it was nice. I think we started with a different frame, like going with references and moving to this. Hope people like this thing. I think it's the best option. Opinion.
Yeah. So if you have any questions related music for the next time, write them down. Don't forget them. If you wake up in the middle of the night, put it down. If not, you're gonna forget.
Yeah, you still have this channel, like YouTube channel that Katarzyna wrote all the topics. Thank you. We love you. But yeah, go there and write the things.
Yes.
We'll check it. Yep.
So, good night. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Lovely.
Late. Good night.
Bye.
Tú no has visto nada.